Welcome back to All Yankees Talk. I'm Delilah Bork.
I'm Jordan Lorenz, and I could successfully get a spider out of my locker if I needed to.
I couldn't.
No.
I very much identify with Cam Schlittler, who, according to some of the Yankees insiders at spring training, had to ask security to remove a spider from his locker yesterday before the Yankees game with the Tigers. But you know what? I get it. I would do the same thing. And in fact, in my own home where I don't even have private security, I sometimes will ask someone to come over and
Right.
get rid of a
Of course.
spider. I'm just
I get
not.
it. I mean, I would need to see the spider. I would need to know what exactly we're dealing with here, but it was just really funny. And then he just had to tweet about it too, which made it 10 times funnier because he all but confirmed it was true. The rumors are true.
Yeah. He said a spider was successfully extracted from my locker today. Best security team in the league, exclamation point. And then he tagged ChatGPT and said, thanks for this, which I
Right.
guess means that he ran the tweet through ChatGPT, which is really funny. But he's a funny guy. He's funny on social media. He's funny in some of the like social vids for the team, so he has a good sense of humor. And I really can't. I've seen some big spiders. I don't begrudge him that whatsoever.
No, not one bit. But I mean, I was scrolling through his Twitter. He's only got 42,000 followers. Like, he's got a picture of his cat, said meow. That was on March 4th. He retweeted the trailer for the new Star Wars movie coming out in May. And they just talking about his injury, said not concerned. Also said thanks, Jet GPT, for writing a statement on February 11th. So must be his best friend. I don't know, but it was just really funny seeing all of that go down on a day where the Yankees had one of their two games canceled. I think the spider talk certainly wiped out what would have happened in the second split squad game. So it was just overall a funny little story.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally agree. Let's see. Speaking of the Yankee split squad games, we were just chatting about how one of them got canceled due to weather. But in the first one, we had some not so great stuff. Luis Gill was their starting pitcher for this game, and he just did not have a good game. He was in for 3 innings and 68 pitches, and in those 68 pitches, he gave up 9 hits, 7 runs, all of which were earned, and 3 of which were homers, and 2 strikeouts, ending with a 6.28 ERA for the game. So it was just abysmal. And in my opinion, you know, one spring training game or even one regular season game isn't anything to panic about. But I think that what we saw last year post injury is that Gill is just not consistent. And it sucks. It would be great if he was the same pitcher that he was during their 2024, even just the 2024 postseason. Um, but he just has not figured out how to get back into the consistent rhythm. I was looking at some of his stats from last year. He had a game where he completely shut out the Red Sox. His ERA was 0 for the game. And then 5 days later, one where he gave up, I think, seven runs to the Twins. So it's just, I would be worried because I don't know that he's going to have the opportunity to pitch in another spring training game before the regular season starts. And Brian Hoke, this is something that I saw too, seemingly also feels just as concerned about it because yesterday, after Gill was pulled, tweeted about his performance and then mentioned that the Yankees won't need a fifth pitcher for their first few games of the season because they have an extra day of rest. And to me, that does not reflect confidence that he is going to be an essential part of the rotation, which could set their spring off in a bad way.
Yeah, it means a demotion for someone, whether it's him, Ryan Weathers, whatever it is. You wouldn't think they're going to go out and trade 4 prospects for a guy and then not start Weathers until the second week of the year. But they want to keep their guys on schedule. That's really what it's all about. If Fried is rolling, Schlittler's rolling, Warren, they're all doing well. They want to keep them pitching every 5 days. So that off day definitely makes things interesting because you've got a guy here. I pulled up what you were talking about last year, goes 6 innings, no hits, anything like that against the Red Sox. Yankees win the game 4-1. They ended up winning that game 5 days later. He gave up 5 runs, 9 hits. He gave
Right.
up just 5 days later on 85 pitches. The Yankees won 10-5, so their offense prevailed, but like the consistency is just overall a big concern. Yes, he was 4-1 last year, but he was 0-1 in the postseason. Like, if you want to make it count, you have to do it in the postseason. Yankees lost the game 10-1 that he pitched to the Blue Jays. And obviously that's on a pitcher, right? Like, if things aren't rolling out of the gate, if it's off to a slow start, It's really hard to recover and get back from that. I mean, I know he's had some really good numbers. He's had some great stuff in his career, but right now it's just not there. I mean, he's pitched 5 games. He started all 5 of them, so he's made the most starts out of anyone on this team. His 17 strikeouts are by far the most out of anyone on this team. Next closest is 12 with Warren and Weathers, but there's just the numbers aren't there. It's simply not adding up. And it's really concerning because this team has an ERA of 3.99. So right under the 4 mark through spring training so far. His is at 6.28. So he's averaging over 2 more runs a game. And it's really, well, 1.60 whip is whatever. I mean, it's certainly not where you want it to be, but it's compared to some of the other guys on here, it's not the end of the world. It's just a matter of, yes, you have 17 strikeouts and 14 in the third innings. That's great. You're striking out over a batter per inning. Awesome. Why have you given up 19 hits in 14 in a third innings? That's the question. You're giving up more than 1 hit an inning, 10 of runs given up, 6 home runs. That's huge. No one else has given up anything remotely close to that. Like, hitters are just seeing him on a completely different level. You'd have to combine the Yankees' 3 next player, or I mean, there's a lot of players tied with 1, but Chevalier has 3 given up and Winquist has 2 given up. So, like, pick your poison with the one person, but it would take 3 other Yankees pitchers to combine to equal 6 home runs given up. Yeah, he's 2-1, but if you're just looking at his record, you're like, oh, he's not too bad. When it comes to spring training losers, he is up near the top. It is definitely concerning because it's not the small sample size either. Of course, 14 innings, that's not a lot, like, at the end of the day, but in spring, that's a big sample size to go off of. That is a lot of innings to be eating up, and not good. Not good at all. I mean, if you have to give him a grade so far, like, you're probably giving him a D. I mean, he's getting a very low grade. You can't say he's failing because he's got the team, but I would probably go with a D grade for Luis Gil so far. He has not been having a nice spring.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely. I think that it's just not where you want to be, not what you would expect from Gil, especially after 2024. And I think too that, like, if you ask me, I'm a believer that having momentum and having getting off on a good foot is really important. I think it's really hard, even if you're the Yankees, to climb back from a deficit. We even saw it last year. They had a terrible month in the middle of the season that then they really had to work back from. And there were some moments where it was like, is this team even going to be able to make the postseason with how tough their division is? And I don't think that they want to start the year having, even if you lose 1 in every 10 games, maybe Gil goes, 50-50 on if he gets a win or a loss. That still doesn't feel great for the time it takes for Rodon and Cole to get back. And I think that if his performance continues this way, and in my opinion, his performance continues this way, Warren, I think, has been having a much stronger spring training. Not necessarily, he's not Max Fried, he's not Cam Schlittler, but certainly a little bit more consistent, a little bit better. If I'm the Yankees, I'm pulling Luis Gil and I'm saying we're going to give this spot to Warren because we think that he can win consistently, or at the very least perform consistently.
Yeah.
Because to win, you need the run support, which the Yankees obviously have. In fact, they rely on it a little bit too much. And you need good defense, which the Yankees can have. Sometimes they don't. But at the very least, I think that pitching is the thing that's going to win you games. And if Gil isn't winning, I mean, they have so much depth. That's not to mention prospects that they could potentially pull up by the time it gets to June, July. So yeah, if I'm Luis Gil, I'm worried. And if I'm Yankees fans, I'm worried that they spend too much time giving Gil too many chances. As much as it sucks to say, but this game was just not pretty to watch. I'm sure it was not fun to play either.
No, I mean, if it's one game, it's one thing, but when it happens consistently, that's when you really have to go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, what are we going to do? Because, I mean, it's not just him either. Like, there's another pair of pitchers I want to bring up here as we talk about, like, I know we did a biggest winners and losers thing like that, but biggest bust of spring training so far, Ryan Weathers, you're on the watch list, buddy. Like, you are in it. 8.68 ERA, one of the worst ERAs on this team. And there's really, when it comes to starting pitchers that you're going to trade for, I know we've talked about the trade a lot already on this podcast, and the season hasn't even started yet. But when it came to names that were on the radar, you got a guy like Freddie Peralta. Okay, you're looking at him. What's it going to take to bring in Freddie Peralta, a true established ace of the Milwaukee Brewers? Well, we're actually not going to pay for him. Tarek Skubal, oh, way too much of an asking price. We're going to pass. Okay, I'll give you that. So what do? Instead? You give up 4 prospects for a guy who really has never proven anything, especially not that he's an ace, and you're going to take a gamble on someone when you already have 2 pitchers injured. You're going to take a gamble on an injury-prone pitcher who has been horrid in spring training. It just doesn't add up. He's thrown 9 1/3 innings. His 8.68 ERA is like 7th on the team, and most of the players above him aren't even starting pitchers. So when you take a step back and you look at things, I don't think Weathers is getting any better of a grade than Gill. He might get a worse grade just because he's the new guy in town, and like you expected a lot from him with what the team took to bring him here. So he's still around that D grade. He's got 15 hits given up in 9 1/3 innings. He's got 12 strikeouts. Cool. I don't care how many times him and Gill are striking people out. If you can't
striking
get
out
the
other
out,
teams' prospects, not to mention. Like
exactly.
it's one thing to if you're striking out Shohei Ohtani, it's like all right, but it's other teams' prospects.
I do think that's something else that we didn't talk about enough this spring is how different some of the lineups are because of the World Baseball Classic. Like you've got guys like Jazz, okay, your team's eliminated. He came back pretty early. Like he's back in these lineups, but a lot of other teams aren't throwing out what they usually would in these games because of the WBC, which is throwing another element in it where if you're a pitcher, you gave up a home run to a guy who might have never played in more than double A. And like, what does that do to your confidence? What does that say? Weathers is a big gamble that the Yankees took, and he hasn't paid off so far. Another gamble they took is Chevelle. 14.85 ERA to bring in a new reliever. We've talked at nauseum about this bullpen, how they haven't improved. Okay, they made a move. They didn't make a good one. Like, I know it's still early again. 11 earned runs on 11 hits in 6 2/3 innings. Yikes. Like the numbers are horrid across the board for these 3. And honestly, I mean, if someone has to get an F, it might be Chevelle so far because there has not been one saving grace about what he's done.
Yeah, it's been tough to watch. I think Weathers too is especially hard. It would be one thing if it was like last season where they made a bunch of trades and free agency acquisitions. Obviously, they did lose out on Juan Soto, but there was a bunch of other news happening. This season, the only new guy of note is Ryan Weathers, and he's just not having a good spring training. And I mean, it's opening day in 9 days for the Yankees. They'll be playing the Giants, and it's just like it's no longer February 10th, and we're reporting for pitchers and catchers. It's do or die, and I will be curious to see if the Yankees end up regretting this trade because 4 prospects, I agree, is a lot. I mean, I think that they have some good pitching prospects coming down the line. So it's not necessarily the most worrying thing ever. But if you're Cashman, I think you've got to be kicking yourself seeing how this guy is performing. And again, I think that because they're waiting on those injuries, what I see the Yankees doing, unless it's truly, truly terrible, is they're sticking with Weathers and Gill in the starting 5 come hell or high water,
They have to.
especially if they're doing well otherwise. I don't see any big shakeups. I don't see them demoting one of those guys to call up a prospect. To me, it's just not happening. So they better improve because otherwise we are in for 2 months of disappointing baseball every 2 days from the Yankees.
I
Um,
think the biggest problem is this team is too predictable. Everyone knows what's going to happen. You've got your 2 starters who are going to come back. They're going to slot right back into the starting rotation. Granted, there's no guarantee either of them is going to be lights out right away. They're going to take some time. They're going to need to be able to get back into it. You know, they've got LaGraja and Rodriguez in the minors waiting to come up, but they don't have any plans on promoting them anytime soon. They're going to follow like that Cam Schlittler role and bring them up later in the year. And who knows if they're even still great by then. Like minor league hitters might have figured him out at that point in time. So I think this team is far too predictable. I think everyone knows what they're going to do. Obviously, they know what they're going to do, hopefully, at this point in time. But now they're sitting on 2 guys who are not quality starting pitchers. I wrote about it this morning. I'm very concerned about the state of this bullpen or the starting rotation, and then obviously the bullpen as well. But I mean, you can harp on the pitching all you want, but we've got to wait and see until how they look 3, 5 starts into the year, and then things will eventually plateau and get on track. But pitching wise, it's really those three who I wanted to talk about, because when you have two of your starting five pitchers, two of your projected starting five who are just having horrid spring trainings, there's a lot to be concerned about. And some of their bats aren't helping either. Like, I know we're going to get into a couple of these guys next, but like, there are projected starters across the board not performing well at all. And just, we have to be patient. We have to let it play out. But going into the year, when a team really made minimal moves to get better, it seems like they're regressing. And this was a big concern from a lot of people, because it was going to be very hard to sustain the success they had last year. And again, where did it really get them? Like, you made the playoffs and all that at the end of the day, but scoring so many runs is only going to last so long, and it's only going to get you so far. And I think we've kind of hit that brick wall, and we're realizing that at this point in time.
Well, and speaking of scoring runs, we can move on to some other players who have been struggling. I think that when you're in this situation, you need every single position player to be scoring runs. And one who has really not been scoring much of anything is Trent Grisham. Obviously, the Yankees offered him a $22 million qualifying offer right at the beginning of the offseason, which he took. So they're paying him $22 million this year, and he has not been doing well whatsoever. Let me pull up his
Yeah,
stats.
we've got an interview we're going to pull up from Yes Network. Thought it was very funny, because we'll talk about his numbers after. He's hitting 133. Just remember that as this interview get pulled up. He's got the third most at bats on the team, but it has not turned into the production we want. But hey, you ask him, it's sunshine and rainbows. So, I mean, we'll listen in.
Do you feel like you are where you should be right now when it comes to stepping in the batter's box, seeing the ball well?
Yeah, I mean, seeing it as well as you could. Yeah, I don't think the goal is to be seeing it well right now. Plan is to be seeing it well in a week.
And what tells you that that's going to be the case?
I couldn't tell you.
Like, I don't understand. That is one of the worst answers you could possibly give, in my opinion.
Like
the
I've
way
done everything
he
I can
just
to.
I agree. I mean, I think that he. First of all, I think it's crazy to be like, well, the plan is to start seeing it well in a week.
That is who told
no,
you to
it's
say
not.
that? No. If you are playing in spring training, you're not playing to. What are you playing for then? I really don't understand what he was saying at all. We had to include that in here, because if I would have read the quote, it would have not been the same thing at all. For you guys to hear him say it, like, wow.
Yeah, and I want to shout out YES Network for that's, I feel like they're the best place to get interviews with any of the Yankees. And for the follow-up question too, I think it was just so good. And do you feel, what makes you feel like it's going to happen? And he said, I don't actually. I don't feel like it's going to. And yeah, he's just not doing well at all. And we've both written about this in the last few days, actually, because the outfield depth is something that they have a lot of, and there's been a lot of talk of, oh, are they going to start Jason Dominguez in the AAA? Like, what are they going to do? And Dominguez, on the other hand, has been having a great spring training. He's hit multiple home runs. He has really even shown off some flashy stuff, maybe a couple defensive snafus, but really not anything that is super concerning. Meanwhile, Grisham is in let's see, 12 games he's batting 133. That's not good.
No.
That's not good at all. No homers, only 3 RBI. It's just disappointing stuff for someone who's getting paid $22 million. The highest paid player in the NHL is being paid $30 million a year. So when you think about how much money that is, even just like globally or even in the world of sport, that is a lot of money to pay a guy who only has 3 RBI in 30 at-bats.
And obviously, it is the Yankees. You're a bigger market. You have the money to spend. But I think the problem is they didn't spend it anywhere else. Like they brought back Cody Bellinger, and then they're like, "Yeah, Grisham, we need you. We'll pay you that money. What are you paying him for? A 379 OPS? We talked about this last episode. His slugging is at 167. It's worse than his on base percentage. It was at 212. So there are so many reasons to not be on the Grisham bandwagon right now. And I think that interview was just kind of the icing because I feel like that should be going viral for what he said in that interview because it's just one of those scenarios where you gave nobody anything. Your answer made 0 sense. You didn't help yourself by saying that with how you've been playing. If he would come out and be honest and be like, "Yeah, like I'm just really not seeing the ball well right now. Like thankfully that's what we have these reps for. Like thanks Boone getting me all these at bats. Like we'll turn it around. Like I'm not worried." He didn't say any of that. He said, "Yeah, well, in a week I hope I see the ball well. That's the goal." What was the point of this month? Why would the Yankees waste any of their playing time on you? Him and Ryan McMahon combined. Sheesh. Like I know McMahon's another one on our list here today, but those two combined are making $39 million this season. McMahon's set to make $17 million over the next 2 years. Grisham, obviously, like we said, this year. McMahon's hitting under 100, and he has the second most at-bats on this team. Let's do a little comparison game. Why don't we? Dominguez, most at-bats on the team, has the biggest sample size. So, of course, his numbers are going to be a little more skewed, but he doesn't really have that many more at-bats than either of those two at the end of the day. Like, the numbers are very similar. I mean, you're looking at a squad that gave Dominguez 35 at bats. McMahon and Grisham are the only other players with 30 or more. McMahon's got 32 and Grisham has 30. So let's play a little game. Well, don't we? As we look at the numbers for Jason Dominguez. 13 hits for Dominguez. McMahon and Grisham combined 7 hits. McMahon has an extra double. Okay, cool. Great stuff. Guess what? Dominguez has 3 home runs. McMahon and Grisham combined 0. 0 home runs. Dominguez has 10 RBIs. McMahon and Grisham combined 5. He has double what those two have combined. His 24 total bases is 13 more than the two of them combined. He struck out 10 times. Well, guess what? McMahon has struck out 10 times as well. He has 2 walks, only 2 walks, you say? Oh, guess what? McMahon has only drawn 2 walks. So every number you could try and point in McMahon or Grisham's favor, it doesn't work. Dominguez has 3 stolen bases. The two of them combined have 1. So I'm all aboard the Dominguez train. I think you have to ride the hot hand, but you're not benching a guy who's making $22 million. So that's where the problem is.
Yeah, I mean, I agree completely. It's just weird. Honestly, I would not have expected at the beginning of February that Grisham would have a spring training that was this bad. And it's one thing, 30 at bats, small sample size. But like you said, that's one of the players who's played the most. So I think that it's just really odd. And you're right. You're not going to bench a player who's making $22 million, even if Dominguez is right now the better option. And that's not always going to be the case. I think that he can also be a more hit or miss player. But yeah, and as far as McMahon goes, I mean, I think that McMahon has his moments. I think that maybe I'm a bigger fan of McMahon than most other people, but I agree with you that the play has just been so bad, and like you wrote the other day, the defense just does not make up for the offense, especially if they're going to be having starting pitching struggles like we were talking about. If you're going to be weak in your pitching, then everything else needs to be so tight. And that means that McMahon not being able to hit very well is not boding well at all.
No, you can't have 2 weak spots in the lineup. And we know they'll have their moments. We know Grisham and McMahon will show up at certain times because that's what they do. I mean, they're big league hitters. They're all going to have their walk-off home run, or they're going to have a big walk that starts a rally, or they're going to have their moments. They're going to shine. You got to remember, Grisham had a 3.5 WAR last year. Like, he's doing some stuff well. It's just that's not translating to this year. And we knew last year was kind of one of those scenarios where it was an outlier. The 34 home runs we talked about compared to what he did the years prior. Like, there was a lot of optimism when, okay, like if he could do another 30 home run, 70 RBI season, like we'll be in good shape. We need that on the team because a lot of people wouldn't expect that out of a guy like Dominguez. But with where we're at for Grisham, like you're looking at a regression that's kind of setting him back to those 2022s and 2023s where he's hitting under 20 home runs, like around that 50 RBI mark. And that's just, it's not enough to cut it for what this Yankee squad needs. So we always say it, but you have to be cautious because it is spring training. It's never a good sign to kind of pull the plug on someone and be like, all right, like you had a bad spring, you're not going to make the opening day roster. But you really have to be proactive in a moment like this because no matter what you're paying him, if he's not getting the job done, take the money out of it. Put two people on a sheet of paper. Don't say who is who. Look at their numbers, show some plays, whatever you have to do. Like take everything out of the equation and be like, all right, if we're comparing Dominguez and Grisham, who is the guy? And I think that conversation is something that could be had in May, if all of a sudden Grisham is struggling and Dominguez is hitting 350 down in AAA because he's got a chip on his shoulder and they demoted him to start the year. Maybe that's what they want. I don't know. But offensively, these two are the ones that are receiving the poor grades, Grisham and McMahon. I would argue because Grisham's making more, you have to give him a worse grade. But I think, again, they're both like on that D line. It's hard to say anyone has completely failed and let the team down, but McMahon, buddy, you're hitting under 100. Like, I don't know what to tell you. You're getting a bad grade for a reason. Grisham, your defense can only get you so far, man. Like, it's just the Yankees lineup is, I think, nowhere near where they expected it to be, both offensively and pitching wise. And we're going to talk the World Baseball Classic to end the episode. Judge is making plays in the outfield. Bednar's just on top of his game completely. So they have their star players. They're just not with the team right now. So I think maybe if some of those guys were in camp and kind of working with everyone, things would be a little bit better. But right now, these are two players who need to watch out because they are going to hear it from Yankees fans this year.
Yeah, I think that's a great actually way to segue into the World Baseball Classic because with Bednar last year, before he was traded to the Yankees, he was not having a good season. He was doing terribly. The Pirates then made a decision that I would characterize as surprising to send him back to the AAA. He got a major chip on his shoulder. He came back and he was the best reliever on the trade market and got the chance to be in the postseason for the first time ever because the Pirates had never been in the postseason his entire career. So I think that, that motivator can be really powerful. And certainly you don't want to put a player that you're paying that much money to in the AAA. But if it makes sense to bring Dominguez in to start and let Wells kind of have the opportunity to work hard and prove himself, maybe that'll work. It's clearly worked for other teams in the past, and to the benefit of everyone in the country pretty much, because like you were saying, the U.S. has advanced to the final of the World Baseball Classic. They played the Dominican Republic last night, and Bednar just had an amazing seventh inning. It was so great to watch. They were truly in a pickle. And I mean, my prediction, I thought that the Dominicans were going to win the entire World Baseball Classic this year. So I was wrong, but they are a super talented roster and he completely shut them down in the seventh. And that's what pitchers like Bednar can do, and it's exciting to see him bring that back to the Yankees because he's kind of their only pitcher who can do that consistently. And yeah, it was just great. And so fun to see him and Judge and just all of Team USA advance to the finals. Hopefully they'll win. They fell last time to Japan, who was shockingly eliminated in the quarterfinal by Team Italy. It was Team Italy. Yeah.
Yes.
It was absolutely crazy. And I think Team Italy's been, they've been crazy too. It's really insane to see their run this year.
Yeah, I think it's going to be U.S. and Italy in the championship game, which is an awesome rematch from pool match play, which I think is going to be great. But I mean, Bednar, he didn't come in the ninth, but it doesn't matter because when he did in the seventh, honestly saved the game. And there was another situation too where you had Aaron Judge make. Not only did he have a diving catch late in the game against Juan Soto, but there was a huge throw he made in this game. And I'm going to play the clip of the audio just because I think it is worth a play here. But just the way Aaron Judge is playing, not just offensively, but defensively as well. He showed it here in this game. This was in the third inning. We'll take a listen in the World Baseball Classic as he just guns him.
Right there. He
So, I mean, Aaron Judge, if he's going to bring that level of defense to the Yankees, they're in great shape, and he's going to bring his offense too, which is fantastic. I mean, every Yankee player that has been in the World Baseball Classic, I think, has leveled up, which is what this is all about, because you can only get so much out of spring training. You're playing in Florida, you're playing in Arizona, wherever you're playing against some of these minor league guys, and your head might not be in it. You're like, I'm only playing 3 innings today, well, and then I'm just kind of sitting here for another couple days. Or, yeah, I get 2 at-bats today, and then they're going to pull me. Or, yeah, I'm only in for 1 at-bat today. Like, your mind isn't in it because you're not in the rhythm you are in the World Baseball Classic. And I know a lot of these guys, as much as it sucks to say, weren't good enough to be in the World Baseball Classic, but it was never going to be a Team USA or Team Italy or Team Dominican, whatever it is, comprised of solely Yankees players. Like, there's a million baseball players out there who are able to represent their countries. But what we've seen from Team USA and the Yankees specifically has just been chef's kiss, as they say, because they are leading them to victory. And we'll see what happens tomorrow night in the championship game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Judge, first of all, that play is incredible. It's a reminder of why he's a 3-time MVP. You know, you hear all these people who just hate the Yankees for no reason saying, oh, these other players are better than Judge. Cal Raleigh can hit more home runs and he's a catcher.
And guess what? He got benched in the World Baseball Classic.
He did get benched. This World Baseball Classic has not looked good for him. But those incredible, I mean, that throw was just awesome. And hopefully, I think that the World Baseball Classic is going to be a real test. This potential win is going to be a real test, because the haters also like to say that Judge is not good in the postseason. And I think that being in the final game of the World Baseball Classic very much mirrors the pressure and the feelings that they have to be feeling in high pressure postseason situations. So I think that's great. And I think, just to wrap it up, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention the Dominican Austin Wells memes. Obviously, the GR has been eliminated, but Wells was like really important with some clutch antics in their previous game. And I guess the best way to put it is that he wasn't really known for being Dominican. I believe he has Dominican ancestry, and so it was a bit of a surprise to some people when he was selected for the team. And people online have just been really, really hysterical with memes about now he knows how to speak Spanish, or just very funny stuff. And it's clear the energy that they had as a team too, I think, was really awesome. And it was just really fun to see. And I love scrolling Twitter and looking at memes, so it was really fun for me to watch too.
I mean, it's infectious, right? Like, hopefully he can bring that back to the Yankees clubhouse and be like, guys, like, this is what they did. I'm not saying we're going to replicate what they did, but like, we just need something else. Like, whenever they're maybe lost 3 games in a row, maybe just had a bad series where they gave up a home run at the end, or someone couldn't get a hit, whatever it is, like, you need a guy in the clubhouse that is not giving an Aaron Judge type speech. You need a guy who's kind of hyping the guys up at the end of the day, like getting smiles on faces. And that's really what it's all about at the end of the day. I'm super excited to have him back. I mean, he only had 12 spring training at-bats with the Yankees, so it's not like we'll see if any of these guys even play in the weekend games by the time they're back. I don't think if they do, it will just be very minimal. But spring trainings are just about over. Like, we're a little over a week away from that opening day against the Giants, and we'll have some great stuff to talk about and a lot of great content. But one more podcast this week, Thursday, our second to last spring training episode. And yeah, hopefully Team USA brings home the I was going to say the gold, but brings home the World Baseball Classic championship. And then we'll have a couple more games to talk about, and a whole lot of great stuff coming up from All Yankees Talk.
Yep. And don't forget to look out for our opening night live stream, which will be super exciting. It'll be the first time we're live streaming, just reacting to the game, talking about it, getting to enjoy being one of the only baseball teams on TV. But until then, we will have another episode out on Thursday. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We're up to almost 125 subscribers on YouTube. If you listen to us on Spotify, feel free to give us a 5-star rating. We love that. And we'll talk to you guys Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.